Hello and welcome to KennyRoy.com. I'm Kenny Roy. This is the Ask Video Mail for the week of April 9th, 2012. Welcome to the site to all you new members, and welcome back to all you old members. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. The Ask Video Mail is your chance to get your question in character animation or performance answered in a video just like this one every single week. This is based on member questions. If you haven't realized, I am not driving these. It is you who needs to drive these. So send a question in if you haven't already. The address to send those to is webmaster@kennyroy.com. I go through all the questions, I promise, and I answer the one that I think will help the most people each week. It's definitely the best way to take advantage of your subscription here at KennyRoy.com. It's like a free video tutorial based on your question. How awesome is that? So take advantage of that if you haven't already. You can also send me your Maya files. And I love getting Maya files. It's really nice to open it up and take a look at your workflow and see what you're doing. Thank you for all you well-wishers about my back. My back, it's not broken, it's okay. I am slowly recovering. It was a very traumatic, apparently, dancing session that I had. I will be back in action soon, but it did take me a few minutes to get into my chair today, so we're just going to move on. All in the name of animation, all in the name of learning. Let's just work together and kick butt, okay? The Kickstarter is over. The final amount that was raised was $50,246. That is insanity. I have no way to possibly thank all of the supporters sufficiently. I will say thank you every chance I get, so thank you again. You're going to get sick of me saying it, but I will not stop. It's the least I can do. Also, there was a flood of emails the very next day from people who were like in a different time zone and didn't get to see the announcement of the final reward, which is called Shot Coach, in which we take one animation of yours and we turn it into the best thing you've ever animated, period, guaranteed. That is it, end of story. If you are interested in that or you want to pledge to the film, I'm going to keep the pledge page open on KennyRoy.com. It is over there. It is just, you can just look underneath the store heading in the menu. Wait, left? Wait, no, it's over there. Sorry, no, it's over there. Underneath the store heading, it says the little painter, and those are all the Kickstarter pledge amounts that were available. I'm going to keep that up for just a little while longer, just so that everyone who their credit card errored or Amazon errored or you missed the final announcement, you can take advantage of it or change your pledge if you'd like. So I'm just going to keep that up. Check that out if you want to take advantage of the rewards. Then I'm going to take it down. So act quickly before it's too late. And that is it. It's time to basically just start kicking butt on that and get everything together. And I'm very excited to start working. And I do believe that you're going to be very pleased with what you see. So one more time, thank you so much to all my supporters. I will be updating all the people who are going to be invited to the production blog very soon, very shortly. And that's going to be a blast as well. So just more stuff coming your way. Thanks a lot. Let's get to the question. I was sent a Maya file today, which I really like. Let's check it out. All right, great question. How to handle rotations in the hand. It comes down to workflow. I like to relate things as much as I can to workflow, and what I think I would suggest is that you come up with a way that makes it so that you avoid gimbal. Now, I don't like to rotate the objects in local or gimbal mode, and especially, local's fine, but especially rotating one axis at a time. Oh, that is so tiresome, and it can take so long just to get a simple result. So rather, I like to follow a very simple workflow. What I like to do is in step mode, I build all of my poses, and the hands are part of those poses. The hand rotations, the wrists, whatever, those are all built into those full body, head to toe poses. And I like to I like to convert all of my tangents from when I'm in step mode during blocking plus to clamped, and then change my default tangent to auto tangent. So I change them all to clamp, but then I'm working from then on in auto. So that Maya kind of converts my step keys into something that I know I'm going to get. I can predict that. I can. But Maya will guess what tangents I want from that point forward with auto tangent. So, but at any rate, that's neither here nor there. You can only tell when you've made a bad rotation or when Maya's made a bad rotation after you've splined it. Now, I gave this little tip in the intermediate cartoony lecture, which you should check out. And I happen to have another Altoids can that we can use for this demonstration, but I thought I'd show you why gimbal lock basically happens. When you are transforming something in Maya, you have to understand, when you're rotating something rather, you have to understand that there are multiple ways to get to the solution, okay? Now, and it normally happens when you rotate one axis more than 180 degrees, okay? So here's an example. We have our Altoids can facing forward, and then we rotate it this way so that it's the back and the barcode is at the top, okay? Hopefully you can see that, all right? So we started here, Altoids with the A at the top, and we rotated it, and now we're at the back and the barcode is at the top, okay? Now that's not the only way that you can get to that solution. That was 180 degrees in X, but you can also go 180 degrees in Y and 180 degrees in Z. See that? So you can either flip one way, one direction, one axis, or you can flip this way and then this way. And you have the exact same solution. So the way Maya works is that when you're rotating in the viewport, it's not actually doing the rotation as you're working. It's not. What it's doing is it's basically rotating it in the world, and then when you let go, it says, okay, now where is it? And Maya tries to guess, basically, how you got here. Okay, so if you're right here, and then you rotate it like this, normally Maya will go with rotation orders, so 180 degrees in X will be the first rotation it tries. But depending on like a wrist might do an action that is kind of twisty and interesting. So wrists get gimbal locked all the time because Maya tries to guess how you got here. Okay, so knowing that, my workflow is I go pose to pose, and when I see my hands flipping out, I do an Euler filter on them right away. Okay, so let me show you what's going on here. Thank you for sending me this file. You did not send me the set, which is okay because it looks like he's just sitting on a bench or something, and it doesn't really have much to do with the performance here. The first time I've actually seen the Malcolm rig, I've been meaning to play around with it, but I actually have not, so this is kind of fun. So if we go into the graph editor, we see all of your keys are keyed on pretty much every single frame, meaning you probably did full body posing, which is great. And then this movement right here, where his hand comes from between his legs and then places on his knee, it has this kind of weird wiggly giggly thing going on. Okay, it seems as if you're fighting these rotations because as it comes up, it kind of takes a couple corners and has a couple hits in here. So this would be the first time that I do an Euler filter. So you just go up to curves in the graph editor and then you select Euler filter, spelled E-U-L-E-R. Select it, and then look what it did. It's basically having it go the other way. Now, does that mean that it's going to necessarily fix the rotations that we have? No, not necessarily, okay? Because look, there's this motion here that it doesn't like. But then what you can do is you can actually fix this rotation. Oops, I need to fix this. Stand by. Out. Auto. Okay. You can fix this rotation after you've done the Euler filter, and it'll be fine. So let me just really quickly, I'm going to actually just delete these intermediate keyframes and set a new rotation keyframe up here. And now you notice I did it in the panel. Okay, so as it's coming up, it looks like it's twisting a little bit too much this way. Let's just, okay, see how we're getting these crazy gimbals? Gimbals. I'm going to do an Euler again. And my guess is yeah, it's going to switch it back to the other world space. Okay. So basically what happened is we had the rotations basically going in one direction using one sort of combination of axes, and then when we did an Euler filter, it said, like, oh, maybe you meant it to go a different way, and then keying it in the different rotation order, not really order, but different use of the rotations to try to get the same solution, basically showed Maya that actually, well, there's actually a third way that we wanted this to actually go, and basically, really, it was because it was down here like this, and then I rotated up like this. I used the x-axis basically the most, and because the rotation orders are always x, y, z, that made it so that now there's a nice smooth rotation. You see that? It just rotates up and then places down nicely on his knee. Okay? So let's see if the same thing is happening on this wrist. I haven't taken a look yet at this wrist. I don't know, it looks okay. Let's see if we do an Euler, oops, it's the wrong control. See if we do an Euler filter if anything at all happens. It might not. Although normally when you see this is going like down a lot and this is going up a lot, kind of like counter animating almost, normally that gets ironed out. But in this case, no. So what I'm going to do is instead of messing with this too much, what I would probably do is, because it's weird because we're actually not getting much rotation at all, are we? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a little bit of deleting, and I'm just going to delete these rotation keys in here, and just see what happens. Okay, you see that? When I delete them, there's basically nothing going on with the rotation. So it's much better for us to rekey this and then see if an Euler filter makes it a little bit better than it is to continue keying it where we have the Z and the X basically fighting each other that whole time, okay? So just a little bit of like drag on the gun like this. Maybe it comes up just a little bit, and then when it gets still even more when it gets placed down, and then almost like overlaps and then comes up. Okay, that might be a little bit hard. Okay, now you see how all of this is basically kind of fighting against, or not fighting against, but is looks like it's in a completely different rotation zone than all of these. Now if we do an Euler filter, it might actually iron this out. No. Okay. One last thing you might want to try to do is in these like really super detailed transitions like you had right there, deleting them and doing one more. Yeah, okay. So the way the Euler filter works is that it kind of wants to quote unquote keep the peace. Meaning if you have a lot of keys, kind of like keeping something really like ironed down with keyframes, it won't work as often or as well. So now let's go to this section. Okay, see how it's going a little bit wiggly giggly? just a little bit, we would want to set a keyframe in here and try to define this end pose and do one more Euler filter. But as you can see, basically now we have kind of everything in the same kind of zone of rotations. Okay, sort of all in the same family. Everyone's kind of thinking the same thing in terms of where the X is, where the Y is, and where the Z is. Okay, so yeah, so what we get in the end, and you can actually, it's interesting, X, or any of these channels plus or minus 360 gives you the exact same value. So if you do a type-in transformer plus equals 360, then you get positive rotations for all your channels. And not always, but every once in a while, if you do an Euler filter after that, no, not this time, you'll actually get an even simpler result. So, but here we are. So we just kind of iron this little section out right here, and this is why you need to be careful if your workflow has you posing the entire character or all of the controls full body on every single keyframe, because you will lock down those wrists and Euler filter won't look like it's doing anything. But really what it's doing is just, it thinks it's being nice to you because you really wanted it to go kind of this way instead of the simpler way, which is this way. Okay? So as you saw, the workflow is to go from step 2 spline, then move to the time in your animation where a wrist movement is happening. See if it starts, it looks like it's kind of starting to go the wrong way. If it's very subtle, but if it looks like it's rotating this way when it's clearly a down pose, that means that it's like Maya has begun this transformation or this rotation by basically the wrong axis. Delete the transition, rebuild that transition, do an Euler filter, look again and see if the rotations look like they've become simpler or more complex, and then maybe do that one more time. Delete the end pose, rebuild the end pose, delete the transition, Euler filter one more time, and then you should probably be in good shape after that. I did it to 2 different moments in this, the right hand and the left hand holding the gun, and when the left hand holding the gun, we saw that it was actually 2 different modes or 2 different areas of rotation that Maya thought this motion was happening on the wrist. We did it once, and then it looked like forward a few frames in the animation, it was all switching again. Okay, and if you can look at your curves and your X is like wiggling up here and your Y is wiggling down here and your Z is wiggling down here, and then at some point they like all switch, it's absolutely a moment when Maya just made the wrong choice as to how to rotate it into that position. And you need to work the transitions, make sure that you don't have too many keys there, otherwise the Euler filter won't work. Okay? So make that change to your workflow, and I guarantee you won't have that problem with those wrists anymore. And I find that you get really good at identifying and cleaning it up like we just did here. That was very simple and very easy. And once you get really quick at identifying and cleaning, it's much faster than switching to gimbal and then rotating one axis at a time to build these hand poses. It's so much easier to grab it and rotate it, done. So that's how I like to work. Okay? So think about workflow. Remember what we're here to do. We're here to become better animators, and animators are your workflow. You're not the shots in front of you, okay? Remember that. That was a great question, and thank you for sending me a Maya file. Everyone else, you can send me your Maya files. I love to open them up on screen and talk about them. And the address to send your Ask Videomail questions to is webmaster@kennyroy.com. Please send it today if you haven't already. And don't forget, you can also send in your Maya file. I love to receive Maya files to put them in the Ask Videomail. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Good luck with your animation, and as always, rock on.